Imagine saving for your dream vacation, only to find out your Philippine passport can't take you there. What if the destination of a lifetime suddenly slams its doors on you? Why are some countries banning or making it nearly impossible for Filipinos to enter? These are the questions we'll dig into, and the answers might surprise you and even send a slight chill down your spine. If you could travel anywhere hassle-free, where would you go first? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your dream destination. And here's something deeper to ponder. Which country do you think has outright banned Filipino travelers? And why would they do that? Keep watching, because we're about to uncover the 20 countries where Filipinos are not allowed or face extreme hurdles in 2026. Buckle up. Some of these will shock you, and the reasons behind them range from geopolitical
Afghanistan
storms to jaw-dropping visa rules.
Afghanistan tops the
Let's
list
get
for
started.
all the wrong reasons. Since the Taliban takeover in 2021, this war-torn nation has essentially become a no-go zone for Filipino travelers. The Philippine government raised its alert to the highest level, pulling out its remaining citizens and banning travel here for now. With violent clashes, extremist rules, and no Philippine embassy on the ground, entering Afghanistan isn't just difficult, it's life-threatening. Even adventurous aid workers and journalists think twice. Unless you fancy spending your vacation under Taliban rule, hint, you don't, Afghanistan is effectively off-limits. It's a sobering start to our list, and a reminder that in some places, safety is the biggest luxury of all. Country 2. Japan. Surprised? Japan may be peaceful and modern, but it can feel not allowed in a different way, through its strict visa requirements. Many Filipinos dream of seeing Tokyo's neon lights or Osaka's cherry blossoms, yet getting a Japanese tourist visa can be a headache. Applicants need to show detailed itineraries, bank statements, and an assurance you won't overstay your welcome. Immigration officers in Japan have become cautious after incidents of some foreigners, yes, including a few Pinoys, overstaying or working illegally. The result? Visa-denied stamps that crush travel plans. There's even a lighthearted joke that you need to prove you have enough yen and reason to return home, or Japan says sayonara to your application. Japan hasn't banned Filipinos outright, but it sometimes feels like only the most prepared or lucky travelers get the coveted entry sticker. Don't lose hope, though. Those who manage to visit find that the sushi and anime pilgrimage were worth all the paperwork in the end. Country 3. Syria. For over a decade, Syria has been engulfed in a brutal civil war, making it one of the most dangerous places on the planet for any traveler. Filipinos are no exception. In fact, the Philippine government has completely banned travel to Syria since the violence erupted. This once beautiful country of ancient ruins and vibrant souks is now marked by devastated cities and ongoing conflict. The situation is so dire that even if you somehow secured a Syrian visa, you'd be met with checkpoints, soldiers, or worse. Several Filipino workers had to be rescued from Syria in the early years of the war, and since then it's been a firm do not travel advisory. It's not hard to see why. Bombs and kidnappings are not exactly the backdrop for a relaxing trip. Until peace truly takes hold, and we hope one day it does, Syria remains completely off-limits. No ifs or buts. Country 4. Italy. Ah, Italy, land of pizza, art, and visa frustrations. While Italy welcomes millions of tourists, Filipinos often face an uphill battle to get in. Italy is part of the Schengen area, which has notoriously strict visa screening. Applications from the Philippines get scrutinized hard. Authorities know that Italy already has a large Filipino community. Over 150,000 Pinoys live and work there, so they're on high alert for folks who might come on a tourist visa and secretly job hunt. The result? A lot of hopeful travelers end up with refusals or endless document requests. It's nothing personal. Italy has been tightening its borders amid Europe's migration issues. But for a Filipino hoping to see the Colosseum, it can feel like you hit a wall. One missed requirement or a hint of weak ties to home, and ciao, your visa is denied. It's almost comical that visiting the Vatican requires near-saintly patience. So while Italians aren't stamping forbidden on our passports, the extreme visa difficulty makes Italy feel like a forbidden country for many Filipinos. Plan well, show strong proof you're just there to tour, and you might get to live la dolce vita on vacation. Otherwise, it's back to dreaming under the Manila sun. Country 5. North Korea. North Korea is the ultimate travel black hole. And yes, it's essentially closed to Filipinos, and pretty much everyone else. Even before the pandemic, visiting the Hermit Kingdom was a challenge, with only tightly controlled guided tours available. Since early 2020, North Korea slammed its borders shut due to COVID-19 and has yet to fully reopen to foreign tourists. So, what happens if you, a curious Filipino, want to see Pyongyang's empty highways or the DMZ from the other side? Short answer, you can't. The North Korean regime isn't issuing tourist visas, and they've made it crystal clear that outsiders, especially from countries allied with the West, are not welcome right now. Even if you could go, imagine having zero Philippine consular help. The Philippines has no embassy in Pyongyang to bail you out if something goes wrong. And in a country where a joke about the leader's haircut can land you in jail, that's a scary thought. So unless something dramatically changes, North Korea remains a forbidden adventure. It's a place of secrecy and strict control, where your Instagram feed and your freedom would be completely cut off. For your safety and sanity, it's best admired from afar. No K-pop or K-drama is worth sneaking into Pyongyang. Country 6. Kuwait. Kuwait might seem an unlikely entry on this list. After all, it's been a major destination for OFWs. But recent events have put it in the not allowed category. In 2023, a diplomatic row between Kuwait and the Philippines escalated into a full-blown standoff. It started over the protection of Filipino domestic workers, with the Philippine government rescuing abused workers, and Kuwait claiming its sovereignty was violated. The reaction? Kuwait slammed the door shut by suspending all new visas for Filipinos indefinitely. That means no new work visas, no visit visas. Essentially, Filipinos can't enter Kuwait right now if they don't already have status. It's like Kuwait put up a giant no entry sign specifically for the Philippines. Tensions have run so high that even long-time Filipino residents in Kuwait felt the chill, and talks between the two countries have been rocky. For now, Kuwait is practically off-limits, a rare case of a country flat out refusing entry to a specific nationality over a policy dispute. It's a serious reminder that even in the modern world, politics can suddenly upend the travel plans and livelihoods of our kababayans. Until the two sides kiss and make up, Kuwait won't be on the vacation list, and thousands of Filipinos are left caught in the middle of this diplomatic drama. Country 7. Iraq. Iraq is a place where history and danger intersect, unfortunately tilting heavily toward danger in recent decades. For Filipinos, Iraq has been out of bounds since the early 2000s, when war and insurgency made it too perilous. In fact, after a Filipino worker was kidnapped there in 2004, the Philippine government imposed a total deployment ban that lasted for years. Fast forward to 2026. Iraq has stabilized a bit in some areas, but much of it remains volatile. Suicide bombings, militia clashes, and the threat of ISIS remnants make it extremely unsafe for tourists. You won't find Iraq advertising for visitors from Manila anytime soon. Even adventurous travelers would struggle to get visas, and the Philippine authorities still warn against going at all costs. There's just no Filipino-friendly environment here. No functioning public transport for tourists, checkpoints everywhere, and very limited Philippine consular help. The embassy operates from Jordan, reflecting how unsafe Baghdad still is. In short, Iraq is a destination to scratch off the bucket list. The ruins of Babylon and the beauty of the Tigris-Euphrates are enticing, but until peace and order truly return, Iraq remains a forbidden land steeped in risk. Sometimes the cradle of civilization isn't a cradle, it's a minefield. Country 8. Yemen. Yemen is a heartbreaking case of a country in chaos, and it's effectively sealed off to Filipino travelers. Once known for its stunning medieval cities and unique culture, Yemen has been ravaged by a civil war since 2015. The conflict there is so severe that the United Nations calls it one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. For Filipinos, Yemen carries a Level 4 travel alert, meaning do not travel, evacuate if you're there. In fact, the Philippines pulled out its remaining OFWs from Yemen years ago when the war erupted. If you tried to go as a tourist, a nearly impossible feat in itself, you'd face a nightmare: airports barely functioning, widespread famine and disease, and security threats from all sides, Houthi rebels, terrorist groups, you name it. There's no Philippine embassy on the ground anymore, so if trouble finds you, you're essentially on your own. Even the US and European governments have barred their people from going to Yemen. It's sobering, but right now, Yemen's storied landscapes, from ancient Sana's skyscraper-like houses to Socotra's alien-looking trees, are off-limits. For your safety, this is one destination to sadly admire only through old photos and news clips. We can only hope peace returns someday, opening the door again to this beautiful but battered land. Country 9. Sudan. In April 2023, Sudan spiraled into a fierce conflict that turned its capital, Khartoum, into a war zone overnight. Two rival generals began battling for control, and ordinary people, including foreigners, were caught in the crossfire. For Filipinos in Sudan, it was a terrifying time. Dozens had to hunker down in their homes for days, dodging gunfire and explosions, until rescue convoys could whisk them to safety. The Philippine government quickly raised Sudan to Alert Level 4, the highest alert, meaning mandatory evacuation, and an absolute ban on travel. In other words, Sudan is off-limits until further notice. It's a dramatic turn for a country that just a few years ago welcomed Filipino peacekeepers and workers. Now Khartoum's airport is often shut, communications are spotty, and law and order have collapsed in many areas. Even if you had a burning desire to see Sudan's ancient pyramids or experience its rich culture, 2026 is not the time. No airline will fly you in, and no visa will be issued in the midst of this chaos. The situation remains fluid and dangerous, with ceasefires made and broken. For now, Sudan joins the unfortunate list of places essentially barricaded to Filipino travelers, unless you're on a government mercy mission. It's another reminder of how quickly conflict can turn a travel destination into a no-go zone. Country 10. South Sudan. South Sudan, the world's newest country, has had a rough road since its independence in 2011. Hopes were high back then, but constant ethnic clashes and civil war have made it a land of instability, and certainly not a tourist spot. For Filipinos, South Sudan is under the highest travel alert. It's so dangerous that even seasoned aid workers tread carefully. There was a time when a few brave OFWs and UN peacekeepers from the Philippines were in South Sudan, but after several cycles of violence, the Philippines essentially said no more. roads are unsafe, armed groups roam outside the capital Juba, and basic services are scant. Picture trying to visit a national park and ending up in the middle of a firefight, not exactly the vacation anyone plans. Without a Philippine embassy, the nearest help is in Kenya or Ethiopia, a Filipino traveler would be completely on their own in an emergency. And yes, emergencies are likely. The country has seen everything from mass evacuations of foreigners to famine conditions in parts. In short, South Sudan is off-limits to Filipinos and most everyone else, unless you have a very good reason and significant security backup. It's a place of promise that unfortunately remains mired in peril. Until peace takes root, you'll have to scratch South Sudan off the travel map. It's simply too hot to handle. Country 11, United States. You read that right. The United States, while not a war zone, often feels not allowed because of its tough visa barriers. There's no political ban on Filipinos visiting, but many would-be Pinoy tourists know the struggle of facing the U.S. visa interview only to walk out with a dreaded blue slip, denial. The U.S. requires Filipinos to secure a visa for even short visits, and it's infamously strict. Without strong ties to the Philippines, a stable job, decent bank account, family to return to, many applicants are assumed to be potential illegal immigrants. The result? A high refusal rate that dashes the American dream for vacationers. It's almost a rite of passage to swap stories of nakakakaba sa embassy. It's nerve-wracking at the embassy, where even well-prepared applicants sometimes get a cold, "Sorry, you do not qualify for a visa." No other country's visa process inspires as much anxiety among Filipinos as the U.S., and recent tightening of immigration policies hasn't made it easier. So while America hasn't blacklisted Filipinos, far from it, millions live there, in practice, a huge chunk of Filipinos simply can't set foot in the land of Mickey Mouse and Manhattan because they can't get past the paperwork. It's a different kind of not allowed, one that depends on consular officers' judgment. The silver lining? Those who do get that prized U.S. visa get to enjoy shopping in LA or sightseeing in New York, after surviving an interview that feels like an interrogation. Talk about earning your entry. Country 12, Somalia. If there's one country that epitomizes chaos and danger, it's Somalia. This East African nation has been without a stable central government for over 30 years, and it remains one of the most perilous places on Earth. For Filipinos, and pretty much everyone else, Somalia is firmly off-limits. Why? Pirates, warlords, and extremist militants like Al-Shabaab roam large parts of the country. We've all heard stories of Somali pirates hijacking ships, and indeed many Filipino seafarers were taken hostage in Somali waters during the height of piracy. On land, things aren't much better. Terrorism and kidnappings are constant threats. The Philippine government has banned travel here for a long time, and you won't find any Philippine embassy or consulate within Somalia's borders. If a Filipino somehow attempted to go, not only would it be nearly impossible to get a visa, it would be incredibly unwise. The capital, Mogadishu, is nominally under government control, but still suffers frequent bomb attacks. Venturing outside the capital? That's practically a suicide mission without a private army. Even humanitarian workers operate under armed guard. So unless you have 9 lives and a craving for extreme danger, Somalia is a no-go. It's a place where the risks overwhelmingly outweigh any possible reward. Definitely not your next travel vlog destination. For now, we can only hope Somalia finds peace in the future, because it's certainly off the itinerary in 2026. Country 13, Singapore. Singapore, a clean, ultra-modern city-state that's actually visa-free for Filipinos, might seem like a bizarre inclusion here. After all, thousands of Pinoys visit or work in Singapore with no issue. So, why is it on this list?
Irony alert. The barrier isn't Singapore's government, but sometimes our own. In recent years, Philippine immigration has been notoriously strict about Filipinos flying to Singapore. Because Singapore is a popular jumping-off point for undocumented workers, or human trafficking, Philippine airport officers often stop travelers headed there if they can't prove it's a legit trip. That means, even with a passport and a plane ticket, many Filipinos have been not allowed to depart for Singapore due to suspicion they might overstay or seek work illegally. It's come to the point where a trip to Singapore requires carrying a stack of documents, hotel bookings, company IDs, even your PRC license if you have one, just to convince Philippine authorities you're really going as a tourist. Talk about a mood killer at the airport. On the Singapore side, they do have strict rules too. If you overstay even a day or try to work on a tourist pass, you'll be deported and blacklisted faster than you can say Merlion. Singapore has zero tolerance for lawbreakers. Chewing gum is illegal. Imagine working without a permit. So while officially Filipinos are welcome as visitors, the layers of strict scrutiny make Singapore a uniquely challenging destination for some. It's a safe haven that, ironically, you might be barred from entering by your own countrymen at NAIA. The lesson? If you plan a Singapore getaway, get your documents in order and don't look suspicious. You don't want your holiday to end before it begins. Country 14. Nigeria. Nigeria is often called the Giant of Africa for its huge population and economy. But it's also giant in terms of security risks, enough to put it on our list. For Filipinos, traveling to Nigeria is a daunting prospect. Large parts of this West African nation are plagued by serious dangers. The northeast has the terrorist group Boko Haram, which has kidnapped and killed countless people, and the south, particularly the Niger Delta, has seen kidnappings for ransom and piracy. In fact, Nigerian pirates have targeted international ships, and there have been cases where Filipino seafarers were abducted off Nigerian waters. The Philippine government has long had Nigeria under severe travel warnings, and for a time even banned workers from going there after a spate of kidnappings. If you somehow want to visit, say, to see Lagos or experience the rich culture, getting a Nigerian visa as a Filipino is tricky. You'd need an invitation and a compelling reason, and even then you're advised to stay away from certain regions. It's not that Nigeria doesn't welcome Filipinos, it's that it cannot guarantee anyone's safety. There's a sizable Filipino community working in Nigeria's oil industry, but they typically live in secured compounds. As a casual traveler, you'd stick out and potentially be a target. A scary thought. Simply put, Nigeria is a place where extreme caution isn't enough. Avoidance is the better part of valor. Until the security situation improves, it remains a country that Filipino travelers won't be setting foot in without serious precautions or necessity. Sometimes the thrill of adventure just isn't worth the very real risk of ending up in a harrowing situation. Country 15. Pakistan. Pakistan is a country of stunning landscapes and deep history, from the peaks of K2 to the ruins of ancient civilizations. But it's also one that carries significant risk, landing it on this list. For Filipinos, Pakistan has never been a common tourist pick, and with good reason. Parts of Pakistan, particularly near the Afghan border, think the Khyber Pass region or Balochistan, have been hotbeds of militant activity. The Pakistani Taliban and other extremist groups operate in some areas, making security unpredictable. Over the years, there have been sporadic terrorist attacks, even in major cities like Islamabad and Lahore. The Philippine government advises extreme caution or outright avoidance of travel to Pakistan, especially for non-essential trips. It's not that Pakistan bans Filipinos. In fact, the two countries have diplomatic ties, and some adventurous Pinoys do visit, but obtaining a visa can be challenging, often requiring a host or sponsor. and questions will be asked about why you want to go. Let's be honest, telling your family you're off to Pakistan for vacation might invite concerned looks. Even seasoned travelers know to prepare thoroughly, registering with embassies, hiring local guides, avoiding any areas of unrest. While Pakistan's government is fighting to improve security, and many parts of the country are peaceful day to day, the reality is that risks remain high. The stunning Hunza Valley or the bustling Karachi markets will have to wait for safer times. In 2026, unless you have a compelling reason, or an invite to a friend's Pakistani wedding perhaps, Pakistan is one destination where Filipinos are strongly advised to steer clear, keeping it effectively off the travel map. Country 16. Russia. Russia, the largest country on Earth, spanning 11 time zones, has lately become a difficult, if not impossible, destination for Filipino travelers. While not traditionally banned, the ongoing geopolitical situation has thrown up huge barriers. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, the world has slapped sanctions on Russia, and travel has turned complicated and risky. For one, flights into Russia from many countries have been cut off, and the airspace around is restricted. Even if a Filipino wanted to visit, say, the grandeur of Moscow's Red Square, they'd struggle to find a flight or get a visa amid the tensions. The Philippine government hasn't officially banned travel to Russia, but it has urged caution, especially after telling Filipinos in Ukraine and nearby areas to evacuate when war broke out. Being in Russia as a foreigner now carries added risks. There's an undercurrent of anti-Western sentiment. The economy is volatile, and services can be unpredictable due to sanctions. Imagine getting stuck in a place with limited money access. Global credit cards often don't work there now, and no easy way home. Not a pleasant scenario. There's also the concern that if the conflict escalates, or if martial law is declared, foreigners could find themselves in a tough spot. So, effectively, Russia is on pause as a travel destination for Pinoys. Tour groups aren't running, travel insurance often won't cover you, and the vibe is just not tourist-friendly in this wartime climate. It's a pity because pre-war, Russia was opening up to more visitors, and many Filipinos were curious about its culture and scenery. For now, though, with a heavy heart, we label Russia as not allowed, or at least very ill-advised, for Filipino travelers in 2026. Country 17. Iran. Iran is a place of legend, Persian empires, beautiful mosques, and a rich culture. But it's also a country behind a curtain of sanctions and strict rules that make it extremely daunting for Filipino visitors. While Iran hasn't banned Filipinos specifically, traveling there is far from straightforward. There's no Iranian embassy in Manila, and no Philippine embassy in Tehran at the moment. So just getting a visa means a complicated process through third countries or visa services. Why go through all that? Some adventurous Filipinos have gone to Iran as tourists and raved about its beauty and hospitality. But recent events have made it more forbidding. In the past couple of years, Iran saw major protests and a government crackdown that led to foreign visitors, even journalists, being detained on suspicion of espionage. As a Filipino, especially one from an allied nation of the US, you wouldn't want to be wrongly caught up in that. Also consider the strict social laws. Accidentally disrespect local customs, and you could land in hot water. Women, including foreign tourists, must wear headscarves and dress modestly. Any public misstep can attract authorities' attention. With ongoing tensions between Iran and Western countries, travel can turn dicey in a flash. Flights are limited due to sanctions, credit cards won't work, and internet access can be spotty or monitored. It's the kind of trip where one mistake could mean you're truly in trouble with hardly any consular help to save you. Because of all this, Iran in 2026 feels effectively off limits unless you are extremely prepared
and perhaps traveling with a group. It's a spectacular country, no doubt, but for now, the wise move for Filipinos is to wait until the political dust settles. Until then, Iran remains a tantalizing but essentially closed door on our travel list. Country 18. Libya. Libya used to be a land of opportunity for many OFWs, but today it stands as one of the most perilous places and is essentially off-limits to Filipino travelers. Ever since Libya's dictator Muammar Gaddafi was overthrown in 2011, the country has been in chaos. Rival factions and militias constantly clash, and at one point Libya had two competing governments vying for power. The security vacuum has led to violent conflicts, kidnappings, and a breakdown of law and order. The Philippines, which once had tens of thousands of workers there, has repeatedly evacuated citizens when battles intensified, notably in 2011, and again in 2014. To this day, only a tiny number of Filipinos remain in Libya, mostly in essential jobs, and they do so under strict risk awareness. For an ordinary traveler, getting into Libya is nearly impossible. Tourist visas are not really a thing in Libya's current state. Even if you somehow obtained one, you'd face gauntlets of armed checkpoints and the very real possibility of getting caught in fighting between militias. Tripoli's airport has been bombed and closed multiple times. The Philippine government maintains a deployment ban and highest-level travel alert for Libya, effectively a do-not-go order. There's no functioning Philippine embassy inside Libya now. Operations were moved to nearby Tunisia, meaning help is far away if something goes wrong. It's a shame, because Libya has wonders like Leptis Magna's Roman ruins and the vast Sahara Desert. But those will have to remain unseen by Filipino eyes for now. Until peace and a stable government return, Libya is a hard no for travel. It's just too dangerous, making it one more country where Filipinos are not allowed for their own safety. Country 19. Myanmar, Burma. Myanmar, also known as Burma, has tragically gone from a rising travel hotspot to a danger zone in recent years, putting it on our list of places essentially off-limits to Filipinos. Back in the late 2010s, many tourists, including adventurous Pinoys, flocked to see Myanmar's golden pagodas and ancient temples of Bagan. But in February 2021, the military seized power in a coup, and the country has been in turmoil since. Mass protests, violent crackdowns, and armed resistance have made headlines. For Filipinos, Myanmar now carries a high-risk travel warning. The Philippine government facilitated the repatriation of many Filipinos when things went south, and it strongly discourages any travel there at this point. Flights in and out can be unpredictable. Some airlines suspended routes, and parts of the country are basically conflict zones between the junta and ethnic rebel groups. There's also a sinister twist. Myanmar became notorious for cyber scam rings, luring foreigners, including Filipinos, for work, only to force them into scam operations in lawless border areas. Indeed, in 2022 and 2023, dozens of Filipinos had to be rescued from human traffickers in Myanmar's remote regions. So even if you wanted to visit Myanmar's cultural sites, you risk getting entangled in a very messy situation. Tourists who still go have reported a heavy military presence and a tense atmosphere, nothing like the serene travel experience pre-coup. And should anything happen, the Philippine Embassy's ability to assist is limited, with the country in disarray. It's a sad situation for a beautiful country. Until Myanmar finds its way back to democracy and stability, it remains, regrettably, a no-entry zone for those of us carrying a Philippine passport. Country 20. Ukraine. Our final country is one that has dominated global news since 2022. Ukraine. This Eastern European nation, normally known for its rich history and beautiful cities, became a war zone when Russia invaded in February 2022. For Filipinos, Ukraine is categorically off-limits due to the ongoing conflict. As soon as war broke out, the Philippine government urged all Filipinos there, around 380 of our kababayans at the time, to evacuate immediately. Commercial flights stopped, missiles began to rain down, and cities like Kyiv, Kharkiv, and Mariupol came under attack. In the face of such danger, no sane travel agency is offering tour packages to Ukraine right now. Even the adventurous travelers who once might have visited Chernobyl or toured Kyiv's churches have put any plans on hold. Entering Ukraine in 2026 means entering an active war theater. There are curfews, checkpoints, and the constant risk of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Missile strikes can and have hit civilian areas without warning. The situation remains highly unpredictable, and heavy fighting is still going on in parts of the country. For all practical purposes, Ukraine is a closed destination for leisure travel. Humanitarian workers and journalists may brave it, but tourists absolutely are not allowed by circumstance, if not by law. It's heartbreaking considering Ukraine's natural beauty and cultural wealth, but safety comes first. Until peace is restored and those air raid sirens fall silent, Ukraine will remain off the itinerary. Let's all hope we'll see the day when Ukrainians and visiting Filipinos can walk safely under Kyiv's blue skies again. For now, though, Ukraine holds the final spot on this list of places Filipinos can't go. A stark reminder of how quickly a peaceful country can become forbidden ground. It's startling to see how many places are off-limits or nearly impossible to visit for Filipinos in 2026. War, political strife, and strict immigration policies have drawn boundaries on the world map, turning certain countries into no-go zones. But remember, the world is always changing. Today's conflict zones can be tomorrow's travel hotspots. We've seen nations rise from ashes before, and diplomatic rifts can heal with time. The key takeaway? Stay informed and plan carefully. If you're itching to explore, do your homework on travel advisories and visa rules. A well-prepared traveler is a safe and successful traveler. And don't let this list discourage your wanderlust. There are over 190 other countries out there, many of them welcoming Filipinos with open arms and easier entry. Each stamp on your passport is a story. And even if some destinations are out of reach now, keep them in your bucket list for the future. Travel is as much about hope as it is about discovery. By staying curious and cautious, you'll be ready to seize the opportunity when these off-limit places finally open their doors again. Until then, explore the corners of the globe that are within reach. Ingat sa biyahe, travel safely, and keep that adventurous spirit alive. The world is still full of amazing places waiting for you.